Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping straight into something that definitely caught your eye, and, well, ours too. Giving women wild, screaming orgasms. This is based on that David Shade material you sent in.
Right.
Now, we know that title. It's provocative, but we're aiming to, dive deep, understand female sexuality, pleasure on a different level.
Exactly. Forget the hype for just a second. What we're really digging into here are the core ideas, the practical stuff that can actually help listeners build, well, deeper intimacy, more pleasure.
Right, because it's not just about the fireworks, is it? It's
Yep.
understanding the whole landscape of female desire.
Mm-hmm.
This source, it covers, well, pretty much everything. Unlocking potential, getting past those mental blocks we all have around sex sometimes.
Yeah, those are big ones.
Specific techniques, the anatomy bits that matter,
Yeah.
physiology, and yeah, even stuff like female ejaculation and anal sex. It goes there.
It does. And, to really hit home why this matters, just think about this statistic the author throws out.
Oh yeah, that one.
A staggering 30% of women never had an orgasm, and 70% not during intercourse.
Wow.
That's a huge number. It really shows there's a need for this kind of understanding.
It really does. Makes you think.
Yeah.
And what grabbed me straight off was his main idea, being a great lover. It's not just about racking up experience points.
Yeah.
It's about what you know.
Yeah.
And crucially, what you believe about female sexuality.
Precisely. Knowledge and beliefs. Those are the pillars.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does the author actually mean by being a masterful lover? What are the fundamentals?
Right. So at its core, he argues it's built on two things: knowledge and healthy beliefs.
Okay.
Knowledge means, understanding women's bodies, the clitoris, G-spot, all those pleasure points, plus knowing techniques that work and having a decent grasp of human sexuality overall.
Makes sense. And the belief part.
Healthy beliefs means really getting that women are highly sexual,
Yeah.
that they want pleasure, and importantly, feeling comfortable with your own sexuality, and hers too.
Ah, so it's internal work as well.
Very much so. It means if you feel insecure or like you don't know enough, that's not permanent. You can learn. You can shift how you think. That's empowering, right?
Yeah, definitely. So getting your head straight is a big part of it. He also talks about being personally and sensually powerful. What's that look like?
Okay, so personally powerful. According to him, that's about building up empowering beliefs about yourself, being self-reliant, having a solid sense of your own worth. He calls it being the man.
Being the man, though.
Yeah. It's about your self-esteem coming from inside,
Yeah.
not needing constant validation from women or counting how many say yes.
Got it. Like a quiet confidence from within. Okay, and how does that lead to being sensually powerful?
Well, being sensually powerful kind of grows from that personal power. It's about truly understanding and appreciating the incredible potential for pleasure a woman has.
Right.
And having a real passion, a desire to help her unlock that. It means creating a space where she feels safe, empowered to explore her own sensuality, sharing the whole experience, giving genuine compliments about her pleasure, your connection.
That sounds really positive, like a feedback loop of pleasure and empowerment almost.
Exactly.
And he mentioned something about screening for women.
Yeah.
Women who feel they deserve incredible pleasure. That's interesting.
Yeah, he suggests that a woman's own belief in her right to experience intense pleasure is actually a big factor in whether she can.
Yeah.
So being tuned into that sense of self-worth in a partner, it gives you a clue about her capacity for, well, deep sexual fulfillment. She kind of needs to feel she deserves those wild, screaming orgasms to really let go.
Wow. Okay. It's like a foundation. All right, let's tackle something that trips a lot of people up. Just feeling comfortable with sex itself, overcoming the awkwardness, the inhibitions.
Absolutely. Society throws up a lot of roadblocks, doesn't it? Shame, guilt, self-consciousness. It hits both men and women. The author even mentions his own upbringing. Loving home, happy parents seemed positive, but sex just wasn't discussed openly. So even without bad beliefs being installed, the lack of open talk can create a gap.
Right. And there were reader questions in the source, weren't there, about shame from religion or feeling like initiating sex is manipulative somehow?
Yes, exactly. And his response to that is, well, pretty direct. He suggests that, look, building deep emotional bonds with, quote, high-quality women might take time, but purely in terms of sex, most women, in his view, are comfortable with that much earlier, maybe by the third date.
Okay.
But the absolute key, he stresses, is approaching it in a context of respect. No manipulation ever.
Respect is crucial.
Totally. Honoring her as a person in, the living room context, but also acknowledging and respecting her potential desire in the bedroom to be, and he uses this phrase, fucked like the slut she loves to be.
Yeah.
Always, always within the bounds of clear, enthusiastic consent, of course.
That's a critical distinction. Different contexts, but respect throughout. Okay. What about that other common issue? Attracting women, but then freezing up. Hesitating to make a move because of that old belief.
Yeah, women don't like sex as much as men.
Yeah, exactly. That fear of turning them off or misreading things.
It's a really common myth, isn't it? And he hits it hard, just says flat out, women love sex.
All right.
And he clarifies, look, this doesn't mean they want non-consensual stuff. Absolutely not. But within a context of consent, connection, mental, emotional, and trust, women often do desire to be taken and ravaged. Passionately.
So it challenges that limiting belief directly. Reconsider your assumptions.
Pretty much. It's about reframing female desire as active, enjoyable, within that safe space.
Okay. And he also mentions bitch shields. What's his take on those perceived barriers some men encounter?
His perspective is that these shields are often a natural defense, mostly against men who objectify or who approach wanting to take something without offering respect or real connection. He argues that if you approach with respect, confidence, genuine interest in her pleasure, like a masterful lover, as he defines it, those shields are less likely to stay up. They can dissolve when she feels safe, appreciated. So again, it circles back to your approach, your intentions.
Check your own mindset first. Got it. Okay, let's get into the really practical stuff now, the techniques. The source gets pretty detailed, and I know this is what many listeners are curious about.
Absolutely, and he makes a good point. Learning how to give pleasure. That's a massive confidence builder in itself.
Right.
He even talks about his own journey, trying to figure out what made women's past lovers so exciting. And like you said earlier, it wasn't just about physical attributes.
It's about having the right tools in the toolkit, isn't it?
Exactly. Knowing what works. For you, the listener, gaining this knowledge means you can approach things with more assurance, less guesswork.
Okay, so specific techniques for clitoral orgasms. He mentions fish lips cunnilingus. That's memorable.
It is a vivid term, yeah. It's a specific way to use your mouth, shaping your lips, both upper and lower, to create this kind of supportive pressure around the clitoris while you lick.
Ah.
Think of it like more focused, more encompassing than just using the tongue tip alone, provides more direct, varied pressure.
Interesting. Maximizing contact and pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then there's the welcomed method. Sounds almost like a recipe.
It is pretty structured, yeah. This one involves very precise fingertip pressure right on the tip of the clitoris.
Fingertip.
Specifically, he says the 1 o'clock position, if you imagine looking at it like a clock face.
Okay.
And the key is maintaining that gentle but firm pressure while talking her through it, guiding her to relax, focus on the sensations.
Guiding her.
Yeah. He even suggests building anticipation with simple commands like, feel that. And then right at the peak, using a more commanding tone, come now. Trying to link your voice to the release.
Wow, that's very direct, intentional, almost coaching her through it.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, moving beyond the clitoris. Vaginal orgasms, other erogenous zones. What does the source say?
Right, so he covers the G-spot, usually on the front wall of the vagina, an inch or two in.
Uh-huh.
He suggests using your index and middle fingers like a come-hither motion or pumping gently towards her front.
Okay.
Then there's the deep spot. Deeper inside, smoother area, kind of frisbee-shaped around the cervix.
Deep spot.
Yeah. And what's interesting is he suggests this spot can potentially lead to more sustained orgasms than the clitoris, which can get overstimulated sometimes.
Sustained, right.
And he briefly mentions the A spot, too, the anterior fornix, front wall just below the cervix. Think of them as different internal hotspots, basically, each with potentially different feelings.
And it's interesting, he mentions the cervix itself, but notes it's not always pleasant.
Yeah.
Especially with well-endowed partners.
Exactly. It really highlights that everyone's built differently, feels things differently. You have to pay attention to individual responses.
Absolutely. Okay, then he gets to a really key topic. Give her first orgasm. His approach seems quite careful. Addresses potential anxieties.
It is thoughtful. He says the absolute worst thing, making orgasm the only goal. That just ramps up performance anxiety for everyone.
Yeah, you can see that. So what's the alternative focus?
Shift completely to just giving pleasure. Don't even talk about orgasms initially.
Mm-hmm.
The main aim is creating safety, comfort, reassurance. He even suggests distracting her from any fear of losing control by giving her a task.
A task.
Yeah, like encouraging her to focus purely on how intense the pleasure is and how much that pleases you.
Okay.
Then, once that safety and trust is solid, the final push involves more direct stimulation combined with a strong suggestion, almost a command, to surrender to it.
Right.
He also suggests aiming for her first orgasm during intercourse only after she's already had a vaginal orgasm through other means first, linking clitoral, then deep spot stimulation, then intercourse.
That's a really interesting progression. Building a foundation of pleasure before aiming for that peak.
Mm.
What if?
Hmm.
What if nothing seems to work? Orgasm remains elusive. He mentions the PC muscles method.
Yes. If a woman consistently struggles, he suggests framing it differently. Maybe it's related to potentially weaker pelvic floor muscles, the PC muscles.
Okay.
He references research linking stronger PC muscles to achieving vaginal orgasms, multiple orgasms. This reframes it, you see. Gives you something tangible to work on Kegel exercises rather than feeling like it's some personal failure.
Takes the pressure off, in a way.
Exactly. And he does briefly mention hypnosis as another path, something he covers elsewhere.
So, having different angles, different solutions. Okay. The source then goes beyond the basics. What else does it cover?
Yeah, it touches on various intercourse positions, missionary, doggy, woman on top, and emphasizes something often overlooked, the power of talking dirty. He introduces Taoist thrusting as potentially super exciting, though doesn't detail it much here, and gives a basic overview of beginner's tantra.
Tantra. What are the key ideas there?
Extending orgasm, connecting energy between partners, relaxation, moving pleasure through the body, really mindful intercourse. For listeners, maybe incorporating a bit of tantra means just slowing down, focusing on sensations, the connection, not just the end point. Being more present.
Sounds like a whole separate deep dive.
Okay.
Female multiple orgasms. Is there a specific strategy for that?
He suggests setting the intention for the whole session. Start with a clitoral orgasm, then move to other types of stimulation. Keep reassuring her your focus is entirely on her pleasure. Variety and a relaxed, unhurried approach seem key, letting her body recover sensitivity between waves.
Makes sense. Okay, now, female ejaculation. This one can be intriguing, maybe confusing for some.
Right. The source explains the physiology clearly. Skin glands like the male prostate, and stresses the fluid is not urine.
Important clarification.
Very. It explains that feeling of needing to pee during arousal often happens as the ejaculate builds up. Tensing the PC muscles can sometimes block the release, leading to that urge afterwards. So communication, reassurance are vital. He even suggests a verbal cue, like push, to help facilitate it. And again, Kegels can potentially enhance it.
So understanding the mechanics and reducing anxiety. Got it. The source even covers anal sex. How does it approach that?
It frames it as another form of sexual expression, uses terms like animalistic for the intensities some feel, but stresses gradual, respectful approach, associating it with orgasm potential. Always clear communication, respecting boundaries. Suggests starting externally, maybe stimulating the back of the deep spot vaginally first, then gradual introduction if desired, always linking it to pleasure.
Slow, respectful exploration. Okay. There's also a section on difficult case studies. Real-world examples.
Yeah, brief examples, reader questions about, say, a woman having strong physical reactions but not thinking it was an orgasm, or fear of urination blocking climax, how to stop a partner resetting before they peak. Practical tips for trickier situations.
Good to know there's advice for those nuances. Communication seems key again. Now, relationships versus one-night stands. That's a common dynamic.
Right. He tackles the question, can a one-night stand become more? He advises caution about going all the way on night one if a relationship is the goal.
Interesting. Why?
Discusses the idea that women might categorize men early on, ONS potential, relationship material, etc.
Right.
And emphasizes that showing respect, genuine interest, connecting beyond just the physical, that's crucial for potentially moving past that initial category. Building something real. He lists 4 things women often need in a relationship: appreciation, emotional connection, feeling feminine desired, and passionate sex.
So demonstrating you offer more than just the physical encounter.
Okay.
We also saw a dedicated bit on Kegel exercises. They seem beneficial all around.
Totally. Explains how to do them. Find a PC muscles like stopping urination midstream. Gives guidance on contracting, relaxing, stressing relaxation is just as important. Even suggests practicing with objects.
And the benefits.
For both men and women. Potentially stronger orgasms, enhanced female ejaculation, better control. A simple but powerful tool.
Good to know. Lastly, product recommendations.
Yeah.
What kind of further resources does he suggest?
A mix, really. Foundational books like The G-Spot and Other Discoveries, visuals like Squirters 2 for ejaculation, books on extended orgasm, female fantasies, even BDSM resources. And interestingly, Think and Grow Rich for mindset, a diverse list for deeper dives.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground here, diving deep into, well, the art and science of maximizing female pleasure based on this source. If you had to boil it down, what are the main takeaways?
I think the big themes are, first, the absolute need for knowledge, understanding anatomy, desire, what actually works. Second, cultivating healthy beliefs about female sexuality, about yourself, getting comfortable.
Right.
And third, the approach, respect, prioritizing the giving of pleasure, and recognizing how much the mind influences everything, both enabling and blocking fulfillment.
Yeah, it really pushes back against some old limiting ideas about women and sex, doesn't it? It encourages listeners, to look at their own assumptions, maybe challenge beliefs that are holding them back based on what this source presents.
Exactly. This deep dive, it's really just a starting point. There's so much more in the source material. We hope listeners explore the parts that really clicked for them.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Just consider, what's one belief you hold right now about sex or female sexuality that might actually be limiting you, your understanding, your experiences? And how does what we talked about today maybe challenge that? Just observe, learn from your own experiences, your interactions, keep exploring.
Well said. And hey, if exploring this stuff brings up more questions for anyone, please send them our way. We're always up for another deep dive.